In front of me is the former Stasi complex in former East Berlin, Berlin-Lichtenberg. This really is an enormous complex. Off the top of my head, I cannot think of any other ministry in any European city I've been to which is of this size. Maybe there are, I just can't think of any off the top of my head. The Stasi employed at its height around 91,000 full-time people, and to put this into context, the Gestapo in 1939, which had 3.5 times more people to keep an eye on, had employed 20,000 people with a much lower level of technology. Obviously the Gestapo grew during the Second World War, and it did have other agencies for support. The Stasi also had other agencies for support, but it didn't have maybe quite as many agencies for support. Now today the Stasi Museum is actually here. The Stasi was set up in 1950, so it's just shortly after East Germany became the German Democratic Republic, the Soviet occupation zone, and it had the same motto as the KGB, the shield and the sword. There was a book called, and later made into a film called The Shield and the Sword, which so impressed Putin that he joined the KGB as a result. In October 1982, I was detained not so far from here, having just left Poland. I've been kicked out of Poland, more to the point, and I'm still wondering if there's a file on me. Not that I've actually requested it. I did request my Polish file a few years ago, and they said there wasn't one. So either there wasn't one, or it was destroyed, or they weren't giving it to me. Now, as an intelligence organization, this is absolutely huge, the area, and one needs to bear in mind how small the population of East Germany was. Only 17 million people. Now, they also used methodology that the Gestapo had previously used. So there'd be block wardens and this type of thing. So people would be living in a housing block like the ones down there, and then there would be somebody who would be a spy and who would report. Why would people spy? They might have done it for money, they might have done it because they believed in the system. They may have done it because they were blackmailed themselves, and this was extremely common. Certainly in communist Poland, research have done, we find out how many people were effectively agents of the system because they'd done something previously, and then it was that they were held in check with, the threat that would be revealed. So we've got an outdoor exhibition here, and some of the things about the Stasi. They've got the archive down there. I might even give them a name and date of birth and all the rest of it, but you know, it's one of these things you don't even think, well, do I really want to know? And the whole system is based on oppression, and you've got to think of the things that they did to stop people leaving the country. By the 50s, the problem for East Germany was the amount of people departing from the country, and the result was the damage that this did to the economy. And instead of trying to make the economy better, they decided to oppress those who wanted to leave. And if the West German economy was doing better, they might have asked themselves the question, why was it doing better? Obviously, to a large extent, this was assistance from the United States, which was denied by the Soviet Union to the countries that they occupied, but also it was the system that was a capitalist system, whereas the system, socialist ideology, collective farms, one ownership of every state, ownership of everything, which is extremely corruptionogenic. Now the street down here, for example, that's Frankfurter Allee, I think, which leads on to the what was Stalin Allee, now Karl Marx Allee, changed the date on the 12th of November 1961, just after the wall was built. And so these buildings here were Stasi buildings, I believe, right to the end, and therefore we've just walked through the entire Stasi block. Look at all that, all the information that could be held up there. Now the question is next, what happened to those who actually collaborated? But I think I'll leave that for another video. I mean, some people were prosecuted after liberation in German unification, but most people just got away with it. Indeed, if you use an archive and they've got the names of perpetrators, this is not just Nazi perpetrators, but also communist perpetrators, the names are nearly always blacked out, so you can't read them. Sometimes though you can actually work it out who they're referring to. So I shall do a much longer video on the Stasi. I've already prepared by filming in other locations, so that you'll know when it goes up if you subscribe. But there you go, a look round the Stasi complex in Berlin. And bear in mind, whereas it was by far this one the biggest, it was not the only one, even in Berlin. Berlin, a city of what, about 1 million people living in East Berlin, the capital of East Germany, the effective capital. I suppose legally it wasn't, but anyway, they didn't have the right to declare it the capital, but it was the capital. So, Stasi building in former East Germany. Thanks for watching.